I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're speaking with an extremely talented author. His name is Mark Heim, and he has written an important book. It is called God Laid His Hand on Me. It offers a compelling account of his experiences about divine intervention and spiritual guidance. In this extraordinary memoir, he shares events that defy scientific explanation and emphasize the presence of a higher power in his life. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to this channel and by purchasing Mark's wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Mark, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Well, thanks for having me, Logan.
My pleasure. I really enjoyed your book. I found it very inspirational, very faith-affirming. Tell us a little bit about your belief in divine intervention and one of your experiences that made you such a proponent and believer.
Well, as a kid, my mom always told me I must have two guardian angels watching over me because one wasn't enough. All right. So when I was 5 years old, I fell into a basement and I landed on the top of a wooden stake like this in my back, next to my spine, about where my kidneys are, and dropping from 8 feet down onto that should have killed me right there. My life should have been over 60 years ago. So it didn't happen. At that time, they didn't have MRIs to see what kind of damage that I had. So they kept me in the hospital for 2 days, checking my vital signs and checking to see if I was passing any blood. And there was nothing. I was uninjured. It was just kind of a bruise, and that's all that happened. And that's like impossible when you think about that happening, that it didn't drive the stake right through my body and kill me right there. So that was the first time. And, you know, a lot of these things all happened to me, and a lot of it was at first unlucky, you know, and that's what I put it at. And then one of the stranger things that happened to me is that I got picked up by my arms and dragged back like two galloping horses away from an explosion before it happened. And I was so stunned that it happened. When I went back inside by the two guys that were in the building, I said, I just got saved by two angels, because it's what happened to me is it's impossible. I thought first I'm like, the explosion happened after I got whisked away from it. My toes were just that I could touch the ground, and I went back about 150 feet, and I finally just pulled myself free, because I'm like, what is going on here?
Right.
You know, and then I'm like, I'm splattered with stuff from the explosion, but I mean, I should have been probably severely burnt or maybe burnt to death. So I've had 30 episodes where I should have been dead, and they can't be explained why I'm still here. So this book is being the proceeds are being donated to a foundation I started that's charitable. I want to help orphans and displaced people with the money that I get from this book. So I figure I owe God something, because I shouldn't be here.
Yeah. When did you realize that this was more than just luck, that this was divine intervention?
I was sitting in church one day, and I'm sitting there going, you know, there's got to be something going on here, that God isn't just fixing all these problems and curing me for no reason. He must want something from me. So I said, God, just point me in the direction, and I will do whatever you tell me. And that is the only day that I've been going to that church in 8 or 9 years. That's the only day that they asked for volunteers to help at the jail, talking to juvenile boys and girls to try to turn them from their life of crime. So I'm like, well, that's it. So I went and I signed up for it. And all of these kids, when I started telling them my life stories, they all never, none of them, like 90% of them quit coming back. Where the jailer was like, this is like unheard of. You're saving the taxpayers a lot of money. And I'm like, I'm saving people's lives because God, before this happened, I'm like, build more jails for these kids, and it changed me, and I want to keep them from jail. But now since COVID, we haven't been able to go back and talk to these kids. But from me telling them what happened and that God sent me here to help you stay out of jail, it was amazing, unprecedented, the success I had.
Wonderful. So that this book is an extension of that. You sharing your stories with these kids that were behind bars. It changed their lives. So now you want to spread the word even further. You want people to read your book, to listen to your accounts, and realize that God is up there, that he is watching over you, that he can have a difference, that he does intervene.
Well, it's amazing when you look at all the things that didn't happen to me. And that's what made me decide that I need to tell people that he didn't die 2,000 years ago, because that's what all of those kids, those teenagers in jail, well, yeah, they all knew about God, but he died 2,000 years ago. Right. So I had to tell them, no, he was here before he walked on earth. He performed miracles, and he still does every day. People just do not give him credit for what's happening. So I said, I am. And this is the reason, is I want to tell people that he's still here. Right. Open your eyes and look around. You'll see things that don't make sense every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it seems like the public is very, very cynical. You've got the media that focuses on a lot of the negativity of life. They show you a terrible thing here, an awful thing there, a disgusting thing there. They're not showing you, though, the multitudes of things that happen in between that awful, horrible, and awful thing that are wonderful. I mean, every day, I think that God's presence is felt. Every day, miracles happen, but it's not focused on. It's not reported.
Excuse me. I thought you were done.
No,
but my next book, I am concentrating on the miracles that I've seen. And one of the most incredible miracles, and I always get emotional when I talk about this 8-year-old or 9-year-old girl got pinched by the neck with two 1,500-pound hay bales, had her pinched with her legs off the ground, and she was purple, and the Flight for Life helicopter took her in, and I was outside on the street working, and I prayed to God if he would save her, I would put her in the next book. And I went back at the end of the season to check to see if she lived, and she's fine.
Amazing.
And she should have been either brain dead or with 1,500 pounds against your neck broken, paralyzed. I mean, the things that could have been wrong with her are infinite.
Right. And this is not something you read about. This is something you actually witnessed.
I witnessed it. And I talked to the mother and the girl. So I got their story so I could put it in the next book.
Wonderful. Do you have a working title yet for the next book?
Yes. God laid his hand on us.
Okay. Gotcha. And instead of God laid his hand on me, where you look at the way God has shaped your life, saved your life, kept you safe, you're taking a look at the miracles that other people have experienced, including this young girl who was grabbed by the neck, who by all accounts should be dead, but by God's love, God's mercy, God's goodness, saved her, and she's alive and well today. Amazing, amazing. I think it's a great book. I think it's a, go ahead.
The stories that I've found for the next book, some of these people have had a lot of miracles in their lives like I have, and some of them only had one miracle, but it was the miracle that they needed at that exact moment. So all I can figure is that I'm here for a reason, and God wants me to tell people that he's still here.
Right. Wonderful. The name of the book is God Laid His Hand on Me. In it, author Mark Heim takes a look at his own life, his own experiences, experiences about divine intervention and guidance, times where his life was saved by God. He has more than 30 experiences like this where the things that should have happened didn't happen, and there's really no other explanation than divine intervention. He's working on a second book, kind of a sequel, but a little bit different. Instead of focusing on him, it'll focus on others around him, the miracles that happen every day. It is called God Laid His Hand on Us. Mark, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thanks for having me. I hope it'll be informative to your audience.
Absolutely. I think it's faith affirming. I think it'll help a lot of people with their spiritual journey for sure. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time, this time. Until next time on Spotlight.